Hi guys, came back again. Got my little mate Dan with me today.
Yep.
He's been off crook from school for a couple of days. So Dad's turned to look after you today, isn't it, mate?
Yes.
Yeah, so we've just been on blokey things today, haven't we?
A lot.
A lot, yeah. So over the weekend we did a trip up country. My wife has a new position and she's going to be travelling a fair bit, and she could be up to 2-3 hours away from home, so she wanted to go up and have a look around the area that she could be working in. So all those years at uni paid off, didn't it, Dan?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, good on her. While we're up that way, not that I didn't realise it all, but we're about half an hour away from the Lake Goldsmith Steam Rally, which was on that weekend. So made a suggestion, how about we just pop on for another half an hour and we'll go and have a look at the rally.
You said we were going anyway.
Mum got scones. Yeah, alright. It's a great rally to go and visit if you've never seen it before. One of those things you've got to go and see. It is a living history museum. You can get up close and personal to all the gear, and look, everyone's willing to have a yak and a chat about what they've done and how they've done it, and yeah, it's a great day out. There's a bloke up there called Len. He has a little company called LPR Tools. He sells machine tools, and a little shop up there, and usually when I'm up that way I'll buy a couple of little bits and pieces off him. This year I did buy a couple of things. Not that I wasn't going to buy them anyway, Dan. No. So I purchased this tri-square. It was one of the items I bought. I think it cost me about $80. Don't tell Mum. I did save up for it, Dan.
What does that do?
Well, that just basically makes sure that when we're manufacturing things or machining things, we can check it for square to make sure it's at right angles. Okay?
Yeah.
While I was also up there, I bought a couple of parallels. So, as I mentioned in my other videos, it's always do your due diligence whenever you purchase something. Check it for the accuracy. Check it's going to be fit for the purpose that you've purchased it for. And if it's not what you think it is, at least you can allow for it, or you can repair it and bring it back to spec the way that you want it. So there were a couple of issues that I had with the parallels, and another little issue I've got with this fella. I'll go through how I did the checks on these, and another little thing I want to go through too is the Chinese parallels. Some of the checks I've done on those as well. I did those when I first purchased these a number of years ago, but I'll show you something fairly surprising on these. So, well, maybe not surprising. We'll see.
Oh.
Anyway, we'll bring you a little bit closer.
What do they do?
Parallels?
No, those.
Yes. Oh. Well, when we're putting things in the vise, and we want to lift them up a little bit so we can machine them, we sit them down on top of these
Oh,
parallels.
so that it's level.
Exactly right, Danny. So we make sure that everything's absolutely level before we machine them.
Oh, okay.
That's what we use those for. And same with these ones. Okay. All right. Well, I'll bring you a little bit closer, and we'll show you what we've gone through and what we found. Go ahead, Dan. Right. Obviously, the main function for an engineer square or tri-square is that it is actually square. You want this as a main reference to see if the gear that you're machining is square, or your setup, so you can set up a setup that's going to be square. Now I don't have a master square to check this against. But what I do have is a milling machine, and what I basically did is set up my little test indicator in the horseshoe bracket off the head. Set that up there. Set a starting point up here, and cranked it on down to an end point here, which was over 250 millimeters, or about 10 inches. And what I got was 0.07 millimeters variation from top to bottom. So what was actually happening was the blade of the tri-square is actually sitting out like that by 0.07 of a millimeter. So what's that, about 3 thou? So over 10 inches, 3 thou out. Now for what I'm going to use this for, that's not an issue. It's not going to worry me at all. The issue with checking something like this is that you don't know whether your knee is tramming dead true to the head when you're cranking it up and down. So what you can then do is rotate it around and put it onto the opposite side. So we'll just make sure that we're going to be able to see that. Pan that around and pan that down. So I repeated this on the opposite side and I got exactly the same variation. So I know this tri-square is out very, very slightly. Now I did measure the blade and that is dead parallel, and I also measured the stock and that is also dead parallel. Gave it a slight hone on the bottom just to make sure there were no burrs or rags left on it, and I did the same with the table before I did the setup. So I'm confident that this is out by about 3 thou over that 10 inches or 0.07 millimeters over 250 millimeters. What it does tell me is that my knee is also tramming dead true. I've got the same variation on this side as what I got on this other side, so I'm very happy about that. And as I said, fit for purpose, it's going to do what I want it to do. Alright, to be within a few thou over that 14-inch length for doing different types of setups. I'm aware of what that is, and if I need to compensate, I can. Now these are the parallels I picked up, and as I mentioned, I did have to give these a lick on the grinder because there was a 0.2 millimeter difference in the thickness of these parallels. The parallels were both dead parallel over their heights, and they were spot on with each other as well. So, which is the way you're going to use it 95% of the time, but it's nice to know that if you do use them in this direction, that they're dead parallel and that they are also the same. So, you know, that was a 10-minute lick up in the grinder to get them right. Now, you probably all purchased these Chinese parallels, and I've measured my set all over through the entire range as far as the height is concerned, and they're all absolutely spot on to where they're supposed to be, and they're the same for the set. What I do get a variation in though is the thickness, so that's measuring 3.22, measuring 3.25. It's mating parallel. It's measuring 3.36. It's about 3.38. So they're not parallel in this face, and they're different thicknesses between the pair. So if you're using these for packing up a little bit more to put parallels on top, you need to be aware that this face is not parallel and that the pairs don't match in thickness. Let's grab another set out. So measure this one up. So here's 3.23. Here's 3.18. Three 3.13, 3.14. So once again, this one's badly tapered, but they're not matched thicknesses. So this way they're perfect, that way they're not matched. So you need to be aware that if you do purchase these parallels from one of the Chinese supermarkets, that they're not right. And what I will be doing is I'm going to match grind each individual pair on my surface grinder there, so that I know they're spot on. I've been meaning to do it for a long time, but just haven't got around to it. So there you go, just something to be aware of with parallels if you do purchase them. They're not parallel on all surfaces, and they're not matched on all surfaces. Alright, thanks for watching. One more to come, and we'll see you soon.